Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
This Sunday starts our series on the flow, being in the flow, living in the flow, expressing, experiencing the flow, being in the flow of life. And we're basing it on this little book, little green book. I'm loving reading. I had never read this. I missed it somewhere along the way. It's called The Miracle Club by Mitch Horowitz, and it's out in the bookstore. You can pick up a copy for yourself if you like. Um, I am really enjoying reading this book, and I'm going to, I had to read through it rather quickly, and but I'm going to be going back and reading it more slowly. It's a powerful, powerful book, and yeah. So I was surprised by some of the things I found in here, and it was like, yeah, you know what? I kind of thought about that, but I never really got that deep into it. So it's been fun. It's been fun to read. The title of the talk today, Creative Living. Mitch goes into a lot of different things, and I wanted to kind of talk about the creative process and really shift some perspectives a little bit um, in terms of the creative process and our creative agency in our lives. Because having been around this teaching and this philosophy for as long as I have, I've seen a lot of evolution, and I've seen a lot of shifting and changing, and I've seen a lot of changes that people maybe just not talking about. And I think it's time we talk about them. It's time we talk about them. It's important because the New Thought teachings, science of mind, religious science, centers for spiritual living, unity, divine science, and a lot of the mental, what we're called, referred to as the mental sciences back in the day, the mental science approach, the New Thought approach, has been or was and has been guilty of taking a very clinical approach to the creative process. And there is some validity to that, to kind of taking a little bit of a distancing and kind of analyzing and looking at, so what am I thinking, what am I believing, and how do I change it, and all of that. However, or not however, and in the same breath, we can approach our lives and ourselves and our growth and our evolution with a sense of compassion, with a sense of being willing to just simply embrace where we are, to have our feelings, have our emotions, have our sadness, have our upset, and have that be okay, and trust that I can move through this and turn to what's next, right? I can say, okay, this is where I am. I'm not going to sit here and shame and blame and beat myself up for having, you know, come up short or having made a mistake or having, screwed this up or spent a period of my life doing this, that, or the other, right? I can look at all that and say, you know what? That's me. That was me. These are the things I have done, and I have grown from them. I have learned from them, and I can move forward. And that is turning to the process, turning to the creative process and saying, you know what? I can take all this stuff, all the learning and growing, all the things I have done and learned, and employ that and leverage that in my growth. I can pick me up by my bootstraps and move me forward and say, you know what? I can be more. I am more than this. At my core, at my heart and center, I am more than this. I am greater than what I have perceived myself to be up until now. You see, it's a matter of Because the minute I stop embracing all of me, then I start diminishing me. See, I feel, I have to embrace all of my experience, all of what I have been. I don't have to carry it all forward in terms of the way I express myself, the way I experience life, because I know I can take that next step. I think a couple of weeks ago I was saying to make that little 1% adjustment, right? Make that little 1% shift, 1 degree shift today is like 40 degrees, 150 yards down the way, down life, right? Make that little shift today. Oh, wow. Look at what's possible. Look at what I can be. So Mitch Horowitz in his book, and we're going to hold off on this, Joe. I didn't get you this one. I got it this morning. Mitch says the keynote to mind metaphysics, finding methods that make, hold on, I can't read my own writing. The keynote to mind metaphysics, finding the methods that make the mental act into a transformative and transcendent vehicle. Yeah, I'm going to read that again. The eyebrows going up in the room. The keynote to mind metaphysics, finding methods that make the mental act into a transformative and transcendent vehicle. Making the mental activity, right, into a transformative and transcendent vehicle. So, what is he talking about? He's talking about affirmations. He's talking about visualization. He's talking about prayer or affirmative prayer, meditation. These tools, taking these mental tools, these mental/spiritual tools, and employing them in our lives to such a degree that they become transformative and allowing us to transcend where we have been before. To step beyond the place where we are into something new, to raise our vibration, so to speak, and by raising our vibration, raising the vibration of everybody around us. Because, for instance, example. So the researcher, and I don't remember the name. This is just coming to mind right now, and I don't remember the name of the researcher who did all the study on water. Right? Hours and hours, thousands of hours of study on water and the impact of vibrations on water. You could raise the vibration of water, blessing water and shifting this vibration. What he found, though, was that if you take the water, where we have raised the vibration of this water, and pour it into previously unimpacted water, this water B, the vibration, if I just add a few drops of the higher vibration water into the other water, it raises it instantaneously.
Dr. Emoto.
Thank you. Dr. Emoto. So there you go. Somebody looked it up in the back. I'd have had it by the time I was done. But, so you get the point. The higher vibration individual moves into a space and the vibration of everybody around just starts climbing up, right? That's what we do. That's what we do. That's how we help each other. That's the value of spiritual community. The value of spiritual community is we come together, we support each other, we lift each other up where we're not quite right. We employ affirmations, visualization, prayer, meditation, all the tools, along with just simply being together to create and recreate our lives, to move ourselves down the path to greater realizations of our true nature, of who and what we are as larger, more expansive individuals than we previously have been. So he starts with that. He starts with a little section. He calls it affirming or affirmations. And so he brings together a little quote from Emile Coué. And I had heard this affirmation hundreds of times from hundreds of people. Never knew who it was from. Here it is. Day by day, in every way, I'm getting better and better. Now, I learned it. It was every day, in every way, I'm getting better and better. But this is the original. Day by day, in every way, I'm getting better and better. And so this researcher talked about affirmations for many, 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 many years. And Horowitz, in talking about it, says one of the things that he encouraged us to do is to use the hypnagogic state. There's a state of mind, a state of consciousness called the hypnagogic state. And it's frequently in that space where we're falling asleep or when we're first waking up, kind of that in-between space. He says, do your affirmations there. Do it while you're going to sleep. Say these little affirmations, say the affirmations, and get into the feeling. It's not just the words, it's how they feel. Day by day, in every way, I'm getting better. And just close your eyes and say it with me quietly. Close your eyes. Day by day, in every way, I'm getting better and better. And again, day by day, in every way, I'm getting better and better. One more time. Day by day, in every way, I'm getting better and better. You see, just by doing that 3 times, right? We settle in, we start feeling it. Makes a difference. So imagine what would happen going to sleep. As you're going to sleep every night, you just roll that around. Just roll it around. Day by day, in every way, I'm getting better and better. And then, if you can, in the morning when you're waking up, like before you roll out or as you're rolling out of bed, look, put a little sign on the wall. On that wall, the wall you see when you wake up, you roll out of bed, that wall, say day by day. And just a little reminder. Say, okay, as I'm hitting the floor, my feet hit the floor, day by day, in every way, I'm getting better and better. It just says, you know what? I can be better today than I was yesterday. I can be better in this moment than I was in the previous moment. And see, we leverage that state because that's that in-between space between, the real active conscious mind and the more passive, receptive, subjective mind or subconscious mind. Because it's at that subconscious level that things begin to shift. When it moves out, when it moves from that point of just, I have to say it over and over and over and over in order to remember, and it moves into that next level, that's when things begin to change. That's when things begin to shift. That's the level at which the law, as we understand it, begins saying, yes, okay, we know you really believe it now, right? We know you've really grabbed a hold of this one, and so we're going to move forward with it. We're going to step into this life, step into this expression and say, yes, here it is. We're going to show up. Because this is what Lee believes, or this is what Bev believes, or this is what Katie believes, or Emily, or Michael, or whoever believes it. When we know it is true. So that affirmation work, along with visualizing the changes. I think we talked about this a little bit in the workshop last week, right? We're talking about visualizing it. So we have the words, we have the feelings, and then we have the picture. What does my life look like, and how does it feel? So I have the words, day by day, in every way, I'm getting better and better. What does that life look like? What does that next level of living and expression look like to you? So I've got the words, I've got the feeling, I know how it feels. How does that out picture? What does that look like when I'm driving down the road? What does that look like when I'm walking through the store? What does that look like when I'm at the park or at the gym or at the zoo? What does that better life look like? See, I visualize it. I get a picture of how that life looks. Just add that next little piece to the puzzle. You see, because I get to define all of this. We get to define all this. And even when I'm working with it and I'm working with the shifting and working with the changes, I work with not getting so locked into it that I say, well, it has to look like this. I don't need to outline it. I can say this, this or something better. Because that creative process, kind of the infinite mind, the divine intelligence that created everything, including me, it may know better. It might. It might. It might know better how that needs to look or how that ought to look for my experience, for my good. Because sometimes I don't know, sometimes I don't know. Sometimes. So we have affirmations, we have the visualization, and now we come to prayer. And we talked about spiritual mind treatment, affirmative prayer. And Michael Horowitz has something to say about prayer as well, and he talks about this because he has a very solid understanding of New Thought. He understands affirmative prayer, and he goes on to say this. I think it is vital, he writes, to resort to prayer in a direct appeal to the higher whatever when we feel incapable of mustering a feeling state of fulfillment or the ability to use our minds constructively. Okay. I think it is vital to resort to prayer in a direct appeal to the higher power when we feel incapable of mustering a feeling state of fulfillment or the ability to use our minds constructively. So it's like, when affirmations aren't working, when visualization isn't working, he's referring to prayer as just this whole shift of next level, saying, I just can't get there. Because sometimes we can't. Sometimes I have found myself in such a state that I couldn't even pull it together to necessarily do an affirmative prayer, to do a spiritual mind treatment, to get myself to the place where I could pull that together. And it's like, and I get into that. I know I'm not alone. It's like, God, really? God, really? Turn around, look at my life. I'm like, I'm pulling my hair out, going, I just can't believe this is happening, right? And so, what I understand is spirit, God, life will be to me, for me, what I need it to be. It's like one of my favorite. Oh, thank you. One of my favorite images of God expressed in the Bible. I always kind of go back to Abraham, like real Old Testament stuff. If you look at the Old Testament, we get this image of Abraham like walking through the hills side by side with God having a conversation. It's like, God, I'm trying to figure this out. I'm trying to work this out. I need some help trying to, I need to understand this better. I need to get an idea of what's going on here. And sometimes in my mind, in my meditations, that's where I go. I need to have a literal conversation with God as I understand it. My higher power, spirit, universal mind, because I know it will show up for me the way I need it to, the way I want it to. And I just go to it and say, help. Help me understand. Give me some clarity. Help me come to terms with whatever the situation is. whether it was my path to recovery, going through divorce, challenges with kids. I've had situations where I just sat down and I said, you know what? I need help and I don't know where to turn. And I get my answer. And for me, that's prayer. That's just that kind of prayer. It's not a beseeching. It's just saying, you know what? I I surrender. I don't know what to do here. I am ready and I am open for an answer. That's the kind of relationship we can have with spirit. And then from that point, once we get our answer, once we get our guidance, then we can go and say, you know what? All right, I can do my affirmative prayer. I can work through the steps. I can work through the 5 steps of spiritual mind treatment of affirmative prayer, saying, you know what? God is all there is. I am one with it. This is, God is love. I am love. I receive, I accept more love, more prosperity, more health, more abundance in my life. I'm grateful for that. And I let it go and I get out of the way. It can be that simple. And it will be whatever it takes to get my consciousness to make that shift. If it takes 30 seconds or 30 minutes or 30 hours to make the shift, that is what it takes, right? We put in the time and the process necessary to get us to the point where we have that transformative and transcendent shift that he's talking about. We use the tools, the affirmations, the visualization, the prayer to begin to make that shift, to begin to set the ball in motion so that we kind of get to the point where I move from fear to faith, right? Or I move from chaos to cosmos. When I move from doubt to a sure and certain knowing that all is well. So what does it take for me to make that shift? What kind of time do I need to put into that? Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's more challenging. And finally, in the book, we come to meditation. Come to meditation. And Mr. Horowitz comes in on meditation talking this way. He says, I argue that we can pierce a thin veil that separates mental and spiritual experience, thus using our minds as instruments of navigation into higher unseen realms of psychology and cause and effect. And meditation is the tool that allows us to do that. So there are lots and lots and lots and lots of practices of meditation. There's sitting meditation, there's walking meditation. Meditation that involves mantras, there's meditations that involve silence. There's meditations, walking the labyrinth is a meditation. Sitting still and watching my breath move in and out is a meditation. Lots of mantras, we can use affirmations, we can use all kinds of tools to get us to the meditative place. And start with 2 minutes. Start with sitting still for 2 to 3 or 4 or 5 minutes and just be still for just a little while. It will make a difference. There are guided meditations. There are apps. There are apps you get on your phone with for guided meditation. And so I subscribe to one. I don't use it every day, but I use it. It helps. Meditation for me is a doorway. It's a doorway into a different way of seeing. And I hold that for me, that for the meditation practice that I do, I seek to carry that, so there's no difference between when I'm sitting and meditating and when I'm walking out into the world. That I'm carrying that same state of being from one to the other. Some days are more successful than others. But I like to think I'm making progress a little bit every day. Maybe not 1%, maybe a half of a percent. A little bit, just a little bit. But it makes a difference. And we throw all of these tools together. Why? We've got affirmations, visualization, prayer, affirmative prayer, meditation, all of this, like Mitch says, in an effort to create a transformative or transcendent experience of life. What does that look like? What am I really after? Right? I've got a friend that I've talked to, I've never met the man in person. Great guy. Met him online, audio app, has been on some Zoom meetings with him. Great guy. Great guy. Sid. He's a yoga instructor, used to be a Division I football coach. Sid McNary. Great guy. Great, great guy. And for him, it's all about peace. What is it about for you? And he said, he tells me all the time, he says, Lee, it's all about peace. I stand for 100%, my experience of 100% peace every day. That is his commitment to living that in everything that he does, everything that he teaches, everything that he experiences. It's about 100% state of peace. For me, I remember, putting a vision statement, a mission statement, and vision statement together for myself in ministerial school, so that I am a beneficial presence. That's my statement. And like we sat down to do this in class, it was like a 30-minute exercise. And I sat down and I came up with that in about 5 minutes. And I was like, really? Like in a little voice inside said, yeah, that's it. And I tried to play with it, tried to go back with it. No, that's it. And I revisit it every now and then. I say, is this still it? Yep, that's still it. I am a beneficial presence. No matter where I am and what I'm doing, that's my vision, that's my mission. That's what I'm about creating in my life. And I do the best I can to do that. More successful some days than others. That's what I work toward. How about you? What is the life for you? What is that life worth living? What is it that you want to create for yourself? Because we get to create it. We get to use these tools, affirmations, prayer, visualization, meditation, all of it to grow ourselves, to strip away limitation, to strip away doubt and uncertainty so that we could create an experience of life that is beyond where we have been before. What does that outcome look like? So I want to hand you one more tool today, and I ran across it this morning. As seems to happen the last several times I'm putting my talks together, Sunday mornings, because I do my final write Sunday morning. This morning, I'm flipping through social media, and I run across this little meme that says, watch for the glimmers. Instead of the triggers, watch for the glimmers. I'm like, okay, I like that. And a little description underneath. I said, you know what? That is just clever enough that I know somebody came up with that at some point. And so I typed in a search into Google. Deb Dana, a licensed a certified social worker, um, wrote a book a number of years ago, and where she talked about glimmers and triggers. And she called glimmers are small little moments where we feel connected, where we smile, where we feel like all of a sudden I'm walking and I see a flower and I'm like, ah, okay. Or I hear a baby giggle and I'm like, okay. And you have to smile, right? Baby giggle, have to smile. No choice. 3-year-old hands you a phone and you answer it, right? It makes you smile. You see a certain dog running down, running in, I'm talking, running in the park, and you smile. Those moments when we feel connected, we see a loved one walking up, walking down the stairs or walking across the room, and we smile. We feel connected. Am I walking in my life today looking for the glimmers or waiting for the triggers? I invite I invite all of us to consider that. Because I know I have had days myself, now that I'm thinking about it, looking back at it, I have had bad days where all I could do was watch out for triggers. It's just a bad day. Just waiting for the next person to say something stupid. And the next person to cut me off on the freeway. Or the next person to post some nonsense on you know what I'm talking about. Just those days was like I'm not there, I'm not playing, I am not in it today. Life is not cooperating. So I'm just going to turn it all off and I'm going to take my toys and go home and hide in the cave and pound salt. Come on, we've all had, come on. If you've had that day, yes, I've had that day. It's trigger day. No, everything's a trigger. Everything is just not right. So it's like one thing builds on the next, builds on the next. It's like, no, today I'm done. I'm not doing the trigger thing. I am waiting for glimmers, right? I want to walk through my life expecting glimmers. I want to walk through life expecting something good to happen. That is the shift. What am I expecting? Am I creating a life where I'm expecting glimmers and sparkles, rainbows and unicorns, and a few butterflies here and there? Or am I waiting for the dark side to show up and drag me off into nothingness? Or somewhere in between? What am I expecting? You see, affirmations, prayer, visualization, meditation, all are tilling the soil of my consciousness in such a way that says, I am expecting good at every turn. I'm expecting improvement. I'm expecting growth. I'm expecting something wonderful to happen. And I don't only expect it, I believe it. And I know it's going to happen. And it's making that shift, that transcendent, transformational shift into that something wonderful space. Okay. So now it's your turn. Questions, comments, thoughts, ideas. Open mic time. I will man the mic. Anybody? Okay, Valerie.
Thank you, Reverend Lee. This is just a comment. I have found since I've been meditating that life is really has transcended to a greatness, and I find that it's so powerful. So it's just a reaffirmation on that. So
Good.
this was a great speech too, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. All right. Thanks, Valerie. Anybody? Victoria?
I was just thinking it was a very, very good talk.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
you.
I really enjoyed that. I was thinking one time a minister of science of the mind had talked about life being like a plumbing pipe, and that you've probably heard that one where, the pipes, the white plastic pipes, and then they have those little fittings. And life is always willing to give you good if you expect it, but if you close that pipe off, then you're not going to get it.
Right.
And so I thought that just kind of reminded me of that. I think I want to be looking for the glimmers.
Yes, we do. All right. Right. Yes, thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
It's really, really hard for me to get up here and talk.
You're doing great.
I like what you had to say.
Thank you.
Every time I've come here, the services is over always seem to be directed at me. I have a comment. I was away this weekend, and I went to a really dark place, and wound up coming out into a glimmer. And I'm very, very grateful for this person to be in my life today. He's a blessing. And I had little glimmers from being in a dark place, and I knew I was in grace, and I was blessed to get me from where I was to where I ended up. And I just want to say thanks. And I just want to say thank you for all of you for being a part of my life, because I feel like you guys all are in one little glimmer at a time.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you. All right. Anybody else?
I like glimmers.
All right. All right. We'll wrap it up there. Awesome. Oh, practicing principles. Here we go. So, number one. This week, here we go. This week, as you're going to sleep and upon awakening, day by day, in every way, I'm getting better and better. All right. That's simple. Number two. There we go. And it'll be in the Mindful Monday as well. So here's another one. Here's something that, off. I think people frequently don't do this. We get into a daily practice, and we just get into a daily practice, right? And it becomes automatic, which is great. And sometimes it's good to ask these questions. Is my practice engaging? How do I feel in the midst of my practice? Is there an adjustment I can make to deepen it? Right? So we've got prayer, meditation, affirmations, reading, journaling, all the little practices that we learn over time, right? I know that I swap them out because sometimes things go flat and I'll change and I'll add something and I'll take it away. I'll put something new in, try something. It keeps me, for me, it keeps me fresh. Okay. So I make changes and adjustments to mine weekly, monthly, yearly, something for me to keep it fresh. Anyway, so that is that. And I will add you the bonus one that happened this morning, glimmers. Look for glimmers. Look for glimmers this week, my friends. It's what we expect tends to show up. What we expect tends to show up. So, with all of that, let's take it all in right now and go into our little time for affirmative prayer. Put it to work. Plant some seeds here this morning. So, in the consciousness that we've established here this morning, in this awareness of the infinite one, the power and presence that is God, life, light, truth, peace, power, beauty, and joy. It is in this we live and move and have our being. In this we know we express and experience life. It is moving through us, as us, right here and right now. We are one. One with each other, not just with each other, but with all of life. And we move forward into the rest of this week, wholly expecting our good to greet us, wholly expecting glimmers of spirit, glimmers of good, serendipitous occurrences of life to lift us up at every turn. And we take time to pause and reflect and be grateful for this good, to notice it and smile, to notice it and say thank you, to notice it and pause and just be present in the moment, to acknowledge the connection we have with life and with each other. So let us move forward together now into the rest of this day and into this week, knowing that we are each and every one a blessing. We are blessed. And we move forward carrying this light out into the world, into our lives, into the cities, the state, the country, the world. For we know we are truly connected on a global, truly connected on a universal level. Raising the awareness, the vibration, if you will, raising the awareness that wherever we go, we see the face of God, we see the face of Spirit shining back at us from every person, place, and thing. And so with gratitude, we go forward knowing all is well, that life is good and very good. And so we let it be. And so it is.